Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is my very first video and this is for anyone who never used FL Studio before and they just opened it. And I'm going to try to cover just enough for anyone to get started in making beats. I'll be skipping a lot of things that you should probably get to know later on, because when you're first starting out, you want to just know the basic. The more you try to learn at once, you can get frustrated and then just give up. So without any further ado, let me just begin. So first thing I want you to do is make sure your screen is clear. So the way you can do that is you'll see these buttons right here, right next to pattern 1. You will just double click them until they are no longer there. So make sure your screen is clear. Once your screen is clear, I want you to open the browser, which is this button right here. You can also go to view browser. So I want you to click the browser. And the browser basically contains a lot of files, a lot of sounds, drums, instruments. And depending on how, if you already opened FL Studio and messed around, I just want you to click the button on the left right here and click on the up arrow sign so everything is collapsed. Like for example, if I had it like this, I can just click up arrow and back to where it is. And then I want you to click on packs. All FL Studio should have these drums. If you click on them, you could hear it. So, there's kicks, there's instruments, etc. Next, I want you to open the steps you can insert, actually known as the channel rack. This is where you build your drums and your sounds. These should be the ones you should be seeing. Make sure this is highlighted. If you're not using a MIDI keyboard, this is what you're going to be using for now to hear sounds. Your computer or your laptop keyboard. So as you can notice here, this is highlighted because this is where I click last. And if I click anywhere, let's say Q or any of the letters on your keyboard, you could hear it making sound. So let's say I click on clap, now I can hear the clap. And so this is where you build your drums, as I mentioned. So the way you can do this is, for example, say I want this kick to go here. Click it, left click it, and hold on to it, and then let it go. So now it's here. But I can also right click it and open in new channel, and it'll go over here. You can also delete it by right clicking and delete. So right click, delete. Say I just want to replace these instead. So I can just click my pick and hold on to the click on and release it once you see the highlight or the arrow on top of the one you replaced. So I'm going to replace this kick there, and I'm going to replace the clap. Just hold on to it, replace it there. And you can replace any of them. I mean, I was just doing it because that's where it was. I can, replace the snare with the hat, whatever, however I choose. I can even just put it here, as I mentioned, and I'll just delete this. And I'll just replace this snare. Now that we have that loaded, I want you to close the browser because you want as less distractions as possible while you're trying to learn. So I'm just going to click right here. So one thing I want you guys to do before we continue, make this into 16. And just close it. You can left click it and close it by dragging. This is a step in FL Studio. 16 means basically 16 steps. You can click these 16 steps by left clicking and don't let go and just move across. And then you can erase them by right clicking and don't let go. Over here, this is a step. You can click on it and press play and you'll start to hear the sound. You can stop it by pressing stop or the space bar. You can remove these notes by right clicking over top of it, right click. And while this is playing, I can still insert any notes I would like to. So let's just say there you go. And I can add a hat here. I'm going to erase this. You can also right click and fill each 2 steps. And as you can see right here, we're in pattern 1. And if I were to left click and drag up without letting go, you will see what we just created is missing. And if I press play, there's nothing going to play because it's not there. Click again and drag it back down, you'll see that what we have is there. You can even test this out in real time. While it's playing, you can move it up and down and you'll see nothing's coming until I go back to 1. Okay, so now how do you build these patterns into a song? That's where the playlist comes in. I'm going to click on the playlist, the first icon after the pattern text over here, so right here. This is where you arrange all your beats, all your patterns, and all I'm going to do is left click and you'll see that the pattern appeared. And once wherever you click, I just drag it to the left so you can start in the beginning. Now if I click again, it'll repeat itself. I can erase it by right clicking. It's basically 16 steps that make up a bar in FL Studio. So a bar starts right here and see it's ending before the bar 2 starts. 1 bar, 2 bars. So second bar is ending where the third bar starts, and this would be a third bar, and this would be a fourth. So there you go. You have this pattern repeating 4 times. I'm just going to erase the last 2 right here. So leave like that. And what we're going to do is go into pattern 2 just by clicking up. In pattern 2, I want each 2 steps like this. So, okay. So I have pattern 2 over here, and you also notice your patterns are building right here. So if I click on pattern 1, this will go back to pattern 1. If I go to back to pattern 2, this will go to pattern 2. So whatever you have highlighted or selected, and then when you click it here, that's what's going to appear. So as you can see, pattern 2 is here now. Okay, so it starts off with pattern 1, pattern 2. I'm trying to demonstrate the pattern versus song mode. Right now, I have pattern highlighted. Right, press play. It's going to play whatever is showing here. But if I go to song mode and press play, it's going to be playing from the playlist and not the step sequencer. It's going to play in the order from the order you have, the arrangement you have in your playlist. So, for example, like right now, if I go to pattern mode, I'm over here. But if I go to song mode, in my song mode, I have pattern 1 playing first. So it's going to play pattern 1. So you notice something, once play header reached to pattern 2, you noticed it play here, as you can see. But when it's over here, it's not going to show because I have pattern 2 here. If I select pattern 1, and then I'm still in song mode, I can see it here. So you can edit in real time. You can edit while you're playing, for example. But let's just keep it where we had it for now. Let me just delete this pattern 2. Click here and just click right click and press delete. Okay. So I want to keep this beat in my next pattern, but I want to add something else different to it. You can right click over here and click clone. Okay. And or you could have right click over here at the top over here and clone. But since we already did it, we're not going to click that. So now I'm going to drag to pattern 2, or I can just click here. So now I'm in pattern 2 and I have the same as pattern 1. But now what I'm going to do is, because I want the hats to come in after my first pattern, so I can just right click and filch 2 steps. Okay. So now I want this to come in after my first pattern. Now that I have pattern 2 selected, I'm just going to click here, and depending wherever you click, but again, just drag it over. And if you're clicking around and you're not able to move it correctly, and I probably should have mentioned this a little earlier, is you would have to click over here and make sure you're in step mode. So step, and you should be able to move it around. All right, now I'm going to play song mode again. So as you can see, it's playing out correctly. Okay. Now say I want to have another variation where I want to add more kicks, but not in this pattern. So I'm going to just, again, clone pattern 2. So clone. And by the way, when you're cloning patterns, the next pattern automatically becomes your clone pattern. So now we're in pattern 3. So once I click pattern 3, I'm already here. And I'm going to add a kick right here. And I'm going to put pattern 3 here. So you can see this kick came in later on. And I'm going to, after pattern 3, I'm going to repeat pattern 2. Whichever sample you have selected, it'll go to the piano roll of that. Right now I have the clap selected. Now if I click on piano roll, I'm in the clap piano roll. Whatever you have here is also shown in the piano roll. It's also shown over here if you click this graph editor right here. And you go to note. Now if I right click it, it disappears. Click again, it's there. Let's just add an instrument by clicking here, and you can pick various VSTs, but let's just stick to FL keys. So now that I have FL keys, click here, and you can hear the sound. You can also click your keyboard. Let's just close everything out. Say I want the piano to come in along with my first pattern over here. So what I can do is next, since I already used pattern 1, 2, and 3, I'm just going to go to pattern 4. Okay, and by the way, you can paint in your pattern even though if you have nothing in it. Go to the step sequencer again, or the channel rec. Make sure you have selected the FL keys. So now I'm going to go here. I already have my pattern 4 here. I can add the melodies in real time. So now I'm going to press play. I don't have it repeating, so it won't play the whole way in real time. So what I'm going to do is paint it in for the rest of them. Once I do that, add some melody. Make sure your pencil is highlighted, or it's called the draw. Once you click here, you'll see a note. Hover over your mouse like this, and once you see the arrow, move it over. So this is a step, as in the step sequencer. This is a step. The way it works is, if you're making some changes, depending on how you're changing it, it'll show like this. And once you have it like this, you can, and I say my piano roll is closed, you can just click from here, and it'll go to the piano roll. Right click it, you can erase it. So left click, right click, erase. Okay. So now I'm going to play in real time, and it can still make it. And you can see this moving. Because pattern 4 is repeating, it's going to play whatever I play here. Let's just try to create a melody. And I'm just doing this randomly. So I want this to come more over here. And you'll notice something here. Once I'm moving it here, you can notice that it's moving over here. I can, mess around and change how I like the melody to go. Click on pattern 4 and clone it. And go back to pattern mode so we can see how we can change the melody. Go to pattern 5 because you have pattern 4 already here. Pattern 5. Okay. Okay, so now I'm just going to replace, you can get creative how you like. I'll just take this last pattern here and put pattern 5 in there. And you can play your beat from anywhere you want. I'll just skip this first 2 patterns, or go here, or first 2 bars, and just go over here. I don't like the hat starting in bar 2. I want it to start in bar 3. Instead of deleting it here, because if you delete it here, let's just say I right click and get rid of this. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. It's going to start in bar 3 now. It's removed from pattern my bar over here, which I want it to stay here. So what I'm going to do is put it back in there, and I'm just going to clone. And notice when I clone this, the original patterns move up one, because by the way FL Studio works is when you're cloning a pattern, it becomes a clone of it on the next one. Right click and clone. So notice they went up one. In the second bar, I don't want the hat to come in, so I was going pattern 3 and just remove it here. So now this has no hat. So I'm going to replace this in the second bar, and my pattern 3 is click, and I have pattern 3. Now you'll hear that my hat's coming later. You could rename these patterns, and it doesn't have to be in the right order, 1, 2, 3, 4. It can be all over the place anywhere. So I'm just going to add a crash on pattern 1. So click right there, and you'll see, notice it there. I'm going to just take this crash off for now. If we went into our browser, you can just drag any sound you want and just directly move it to the playlist. As soon as I enter this crash over here, let's just quickly play that. So now you have that there. You'll notice that this changed into audio. That's because we just added one. But if you want to go back to your just your patterns, what you can do is click, see this little keyboard kind of sign, and you'll go back to pattern. Because the next one is your audio clips. And the same thing, if you have this selected, it'll just paste that. If you want to paste your patterns again, go back to patterns and choose which one you would like, and then that will show. Okay. So now that we have all that here, make this into a 2-minute song, for example. So what you're gonna do is highlight this patterns right here. Go back to the draw tool, click draw tool, and then press shift, and don't let go and move it over. And shift, move it over again, drop it, or let go of your mouse, and then keep the shift still and move it over again. Okay. Shift, move it over again. So this is how you would go about creating a song. And by the way, so if I didn't mention this already, this is where you zoom in, zoom out. You can also zoom in over here. Zoom in over here to vertically. Beats are going to usually repeat in 2 bars or 4 bars, and any changes usually come after bars that are multiples of 4 or 8. So, for example, I can have this crash repeating after my 8th bar, after every 8 bars. So that would be that right there, and then I write that, and I can even get creative and add another one right here, move it over, and like this. So just going to click here and start from here. Say you're making a beat and you want to stay in one location. What you can do is left click twice until you see the little square, and move over and let go where you want to repeat. You can say you want to work in just this section. Press play. I want to stay in this, and I want to change the volume. So I'm going to go to my step sequencer, and also so you notice there's only audio clip here after I added this audio clip. When you click here, you'll see that it's kind of organized. If you click all, you will see patterns we created. It shows you the audio as well. So for any of these, all I'm going to do is left click and drag it up or down. And if you go all the way left, then it's no sound at all. As you can see, if I move it up, and I can mess with this in real time. So I'm going to just keep it right here. Say I want the kick to be a little louder, move the kick all the way right. Click on the kick here, and let's say you want to increase or decrease the velocity. So I have the kicks here. The way I can mess around with this is basically I can increase it by going up, so you can hear this louder. Or you can click piano roll, and you can increase and decrease it over here. So as you notice, this is pattern 4. That's why you don't see the rest of the kicks here, because after pattern 4, it goes to pattern 2. I can drag it in real time while it's playing. So it starts at pattern 4 over here, and then go to pattern 2. Pattern 4, and then we'll drag it in real time. Pattern 2. One thing I'm not showing you in this video is the mixer, and the reason for that is you don't have to know it to create your first beat. You can make 5-hour videos on just the channel rec alone. You don't need to know all these things. So once you figure the basics out, just to create a beat, then you can move on from there and learn what suits your needs the most. I hope this video helped you guys, and if there's any questions, you guys can always reach out to me. All right. Thank you.